Hi, we're Yvonne and Jeremy. We got married last year, and now we're exploring the US full-time. In our last video, we began our exploration of the vast Yellowstone National Park, a place with fascinating geothermal features and tons of wildlife. Today, we finish our adventures in the park and leave you with 7 tips for making your visit great. Hello everyone, we are starting this second video in Yellowstone at the Artist's Paint Pots.
The high temperature dropped by 20 degrees today, so it is a little bit colder today than the other days.
I'm prepared.
He wore an under layer today. I didn't, so oops. Apparently, new geothermal features could just spew out, at any time. So we gotta be extra careful and watch where we step. It's just constantly steaming. It's crazy. If there's steam coming out of the boards, we better run.
I think they're called the Artist's Paint Pot because from up top, it looks like almost like a color palette with holes deep inside where the hot spring is bubbling out and bringing hot water.
Except the Artist's Paint Pot palette, I guess, only contains one color. Orangish around the entire palette, but then the little pots and holes are like shades of green. This precious paint. What is inspiring you today, Jeremy? All right, Jeremy, let your imagination run free with the shapes and colors as others have before you.
I'm not that kind of artist. I was never really that good at drawing.
Wow, look at the color difference. The water looks so different from the colors on the top. This one looks very chalky. It's like somebody just put in a lot of chalky powder inside.
There's a short little walk to the Artist's Paint Pots, but I didn't mind that at all. It's not wheelchair accessible, but I liked it more than the other parts because it felt like you had to do a little bit of something to get to see whatever sight there was. So I'm grateful we got to do that.
We are currently at the Norris Geyser Basin. I have my hood up because it's drizzling. I thought it was rain at first, but I think it's from the geyser. Right now, all the cars are covered in this water drizzle. And wow, there's a sign that says park at your own risk. Anyway, it just really smells like rotten eggs in this whole area, so I guess I'm getting some rotten egg juice on me.
There are 2 short loops in this Norris Geyser Basin area, and we're gonna start with the Porcelain Basin loop.
All right, we have decided to walk in the path that leads us to get hit with all the steam that's gonna be where those people are. It's just gonna be like a cloud of steam. This rainbow, so pretty.
The Porcelain Basin is one of the most dynamic hydrothermal regions of the park and is very beautiful. The water can get very hot, over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's pretty incredible that the microorganisms responsible for the unique colors thrive in this area.
To be honest, I know the smell of rotten eggs is kind of unpleasant, but I guess after a while, if that's the only smell you've been smelling, it kind of becomes normal. And then it starts to smell kind of good after a while. I don't know if I'm just being crazy or if I'm just breathing in too much of this sulfur inside my system that I'm turning crazy.
She's going crazy.
So we're now heading towards the Steamboat Geyser. Apparently, the eruption time is very, very unpredictable. And wow, I think we're here on the day and time when it's erupting. So that explains why all the cars outside in the parking lot was just wet and getting drizzled upon by the Steamboat geyser. I'm so excited!
So we're here at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and actually it started erupting at about 1:30 p.m. and so all this residual steam is still from the eruption like 2.5 hours ago. The interval between eruptions of this geyser can go anywhere from 4 days to 50 years, and the steam continues for 24 hours after the eruption.
We are now on the brink of the Lower Falls Trail at the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. Not Grand Canyon in Arizona, but Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. So here we will see a waterfall. There are different viewpoints here, but this apparently is the best spot to see the fall. So this trail drops 600 feet from the parking lot. It's a pretty steep descent. We've actually gone through quite a few switchbacks already, and there's still quite a bit more. So we reached the brink of the lower falls, and basically at that point you're just standing on top of the lower fall of this canyon, and it's just so cool. Like, you're just seeing all the water gushing down into the canyon underneath. After driving past Hayden Valley, we've reached the Sulphur Caldron. By the name of it, you can probably tell what it smells like here.
We've gone to a lot of different places so far, but this is the place that smells most like rotten eggs. Like, I could package this into a bottle and sell it.
Just when I was getting a little bit disappointed that we didn't see animals at Hayden Valley, here we are at the Mud Volcano area. There is a bison just roaming around next to these geothermal springs and geysers. So the Mud Volcano actually used to be a volcano, like a cone shape with mud just spewing out and like landing on the surrounding trees. But later, the settlers found that the volcano actually got so powerful that it blew itself apart. So what we're seeing now is just the remaining underground part of what used to be a volcano. All right, let's see if this looks like a dragon's mouth. We just finished our time at the Mud Volcano area. I thought the Mud Volcano was pretty cool. Just the fact that it just exploded itself. The temperature really dropped.
Oh, I was so cold coming back from that walk. Oh man.
The sun set already, and I think, yeah, we're in the 40s now.
It's our final day at Yellowstone National Park, and we have left the West Thumb Geyser Basin for last.
While there might not be as much steam coming out of the pools here, what I really enjoy about West Thumb is this lake view that you get as you're walking on this boardwalk. The shape of this actually looks like Mickey Mouse. Masked casualty. This one kind of reminds me of Grand Prismatic Spring, but just a lot smaller.
So the West Thumb Geyser Basin was actually a very welcome surprise. There are still a lot of people here, but as you're walking around, the loop is actually over such a large area that you feel relatively spread out from people, and people aren't on top of you the whole time, so that's really nice. So a few tips for planning your trip to Yellowstone. So we have 7 of them. The first one is this. If you want to see the wildlife, especially the bison, head to Lamar Valley, especially towards the end of the day near sunset. That's probably the best place to see them. You'll hear people say Hayden Valley or Lamar Valley, but Lamar Valley is where it's at.
Number 2, if you want to see elk, go over to the Mammoth area. When we went, there was actually a herd of elk around the visitor center and the lodge area, and they frequent that area so much that there are even park rangers dedicated to guarding them and guarding the crowds from going closer to them. There are even printed signs that says do not approach elk. So if you want to see elk, head over to the Mammoth area.
3. The Steamboat geyser erupts fairly irregularly, so you can't really tell if it's going to erupt during your visit, but if it does, it's probably better to park in the overflow area. We parked in the main parking area, and our car is covered in like mineral water and mineral deposits that it's really hard to get off. Somebody that parked next to us at another parking lot said that they went through a car wash, they tried to scrub it off for a whole hour, it didn't come off, so something to be mindful of.
Number 4, the Grand Prismatic Spring Overlook is so much better than the Grand Prismatic Spring Boardwalk area. So if you're short on time, just head over to the Overlook area. That area is accessed through the Fairy Falls Trail.
Hit all the major destinations within 3 or 4 days. It's a big park, so it requires a lot of driving. It could take anywhere from 30 minutes to more than an hour to an hour and a half to get from place to place. So that's something to keep in mind, but you should be able to hit most of the things within 3 or 4 days.
Number 6, so expect there to be a lot of crowds. This park is not really known for its hikes. A lot of places you basically drive to and it's basically just hop on, hop off. So there are quite a lot of people and a lot of places are very developed. So many areas are quite accessible to many different kinds of tourists.
Number 7, the weather can change very quickly. So we came at the end of September and the temperature was in the 70s on the first 2 days, but on the 3rd day, the highs dropped down to the lower 50s. So it got kind of chilly. So that's something to keep in mind, to watch out for the weather and to realize that there could be some weather extremes. So that's gonna do it for our Yellowstone adventures. So stay tuned next week to see where we go next.